What is going on YouTube? Hello and welcome to the video. I'm a little bit irritated because I just recorded an 8.18 minute video and I clicked X on YouTube and it got deleted. I'm really frustrated by that. So anyway, I've decided to record it on my camera instead. I've got my Colombian roast coffee here because they said to me that, you know, do you want to try the Colombian roast? And they've asked me about 17 million times. I always say no, so I thought this time I'd say yes. Anyway. Guys and girls, let's jump into the video. So in this video, I want to talk about the 3 biggest changes that I made in my Amazon business to start producing me results. Now, let's dive in. Obviously, if you haven't liked and subscribed to this channel and this video, that would help me and appreciate me a lot, just to show me that I should still be doing more of this kind of content, because obviously it gives me some sort of good guidance as to whether this is helping anyone at all or if I'm just talking to a screen and shouldn't bother anymore. So anyway, let's dive straight in. Number 1, thinking bigger. It's so vital that you think bigger in this game. Amazon, it's really easy, you know, because you've got to test items to start with, you've got to test all these things. It's really important to listen to people in the likes of Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, all these big people, and primarily Grant Cardone here. I used to listen to him a lot when I was starting this business. For the first 3 or 4 months, I played way too small in this business. I thought to myself, oh, it's fine, let's just keep going, let's just tick it along, let's just keep going. And although it's important to start with to learn the results, you know, buy only 2 of each item or something just to learn that results, right? I think the maximum time you should be doing that for is, say, 2 months. There's got to be a stage where you click the button, where you flick the switch and you say, I'm going all in on this now. And then you start investing more, you start taking more risks and you start doing it, because otherwise you are going to be playing too small for too long. And I see so many people in the Amazon world that are still below the 5k turnover per month mark, like I was not too long ago at all, by the way, playing too small. And the reason they're playing too small is because they don't trust themselves, they don't believe in themselves, and they're playing too small. They don't understand the bigger picture, they're not putting enough time into it. And if you play too small for too long, you may as well just work for free for someone else, because you are not making any money. So the number 1 thing is to think bigger. Think like the big Sainsbury's, Tesco's, supermarkets, etc. Once you've got that prior experience. Obviously, don't go wasting loads of money, but you need to think bigger. If you're only turning over 5,000 a month, you're not going to get anywhere. You can't sit there, turn over 5,000 a month and complain that your business isn't making any money, because in a stock-based business, there just isn't enough profit there to cover your fees and to make you more money. So that is number 1. Think bigger. Listen to the 10x rule by Grant Cardone. But don't buy any of his shit. Just listen to the 10x rule by Grant Cardone, and it should revolutionize the way you think, if you can get past his irritating, annoying voice sometimes. Number 2, build a replenishables list. This is vitally important. I didn't know about this until sort of 4 or 5 months in. You've got to build a replenishables list. If you don't know what a replenishables list is, I call it my replenishables Bible. Build a spreadsheet on Microsoft Word or Google Spreadsheets, Google Sheets, I think it's called. Call it the Replen Bible. Get home and kitchen, grocery, whatever. Get your categories at the bottom and just add items that you know that you can keep reselling over time. Look back on old orders. Add items that are selling consistently for you or whatever, or straight away, if you know it's going to be a replenishables list item, just add it to the sheet, and over time that will be the core of your business. That will be your customer, that will be your regular customers, if you like. So you won't have to rely on sourcing sheets, sourcing VAs to have the core of your business. Some will drop off, but more should be added on. Okay, so as long as you keep adding to this is going to be the core of your business. So it's going to get you 5k, 10k, 15k, and soon for me it's going to get me up to 20k, 30k, 40k, 50k, 60k turnover. And the core of that, although I'm going to be adding one-off items on the top of this and adding different strategies on the top of this, I've got the core of my business for free for my leads as a replenishables list, so I can just keep building the business, building the core of that business on a replenishables list and not having to rely on sourcing sheets and sourcing VA. So that is number 2, build a replenishables list. Number 3, now don't turn off after I say this, number 3 is learn to read a keeper graph. If you think you know how to read a keeper graph, you could be massively wrong, especially if you've only been doing this 3 or 4 or 5 months, right? There's a lot more to a keeper graph than people initially train, right? Thomas Parkinson on here, Fast Track FBA, look at his YouTube videos, he's got some great ones, right? But there's still no one that goes really in depth on the different strategies of reading a keeper graph. Now, from the outset, you may assume that an item that only sells, for example, 2 a month isn't worth doing. But depending on the different scenarios, that could be really worth doing. Let me give you an example. If there's one other FBM seller on a listing that is selling an item for a price, and you come on as FBA and you match them, or you go slightly above them or whatever, even though that's only selling apparently 2 a month, 2 drops on the keeper graph, that could be selling about 5 or 6 or 7 items a month, and your return on investment on that item could be 50% ROI with £5, £6, £7 profit. So if you two are then sharing that, you could both be consistently selling 3 or 4 items per month of that item and making £5, £6, 30 to 50% ROI on that product, when initially most people would dismiss that as an item that doesn't work. But that could absolutely work, and it could be a lot of profit. It's just a slow selling item. Now, I would layer items like that, which I'm doing, on top of my fast selling low BSR rank items that only make me say 90p or £1. So there's some people that would also dismiss the other end of the market that I go for, which is only making 90p per item but selling 400 a month. You know, like 20% ROI, only making 90p, but it's a light item and I'm selling 400 a month. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that would dismiss that. So you've got to learn to read a keeper graph in more detail, seasonal items as well. You know, what's happening here, you know, how many sellers are affecting this, you know, what's happened to the price to make it suddenly not work now. Why is, you know, could I come in at a price from a low selling item, for example, could I come in at a price which it's previously, like a year and a half ago, made the keeper graph go mad, right? I've jumped on some listings from learning to understand the keeper graph. I've jumped on some listings that have previously worked at a lower price from a year and a half ago at a certain price, and I have set my price to that, and then all of a sudden I've got the whole of that listing, because I've realized that in the past I can still make money if I sell it at this price, even though some people aren't willing to go down to that, and I've revived that listing. Okay, so that's not penny dropping, that's not undercutting loads of people unfairly. That is just understanding that some items need to be revived, and you've got to put it back at a fair price to get the keeper graph to actually go. So that is number 3 as well. You've got to understand to read a keeper graph and look at it in a different way, rather than assuming that you know, if it doesn't look great, let's just click off it and move on to the next one. You've got to look more in detail about understanding a keeper graph. So that is it, everyone. Thinking bigger, building a replenishables list, understanding a keeper graph, and you can't go too far wrong. I hope that video has helped. Have a fantastic day. Oh, like and subscribe if you want.